3, 2, 1.
Hi everybody, this is Sara from Palouse Brand and we are in my farm kitchen today. I am going to teach you guys how to make bread at home with a home bread making machine and with the Palouse Brand whole wheat flour. This is something that I am new to, but I think it's a really valuable tool for everybody, especially right now. It's very easy to do. We're going to include my girls in the bread making process today, which will be really fun, and you'll get to know them a little bit as well. But this is something that we've started doing for our family, and our family we'll ask them for the real live review when they come on, but they beg for this bread versus any store-bought bread. So what I'd like to do is quickly switch over to my bread maker, and I'm going to show you the loaf that we're going to take out and we're going to make. And we'll talk a little bit as we go. Please ask us questions about anything. We're an open book. I will go ahead and answer nearly everything you ask. So just chat questions to us in the window. If you have any problems, let us know. If you're new to bread making, we would love to know that too. So I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, although I'm working my way there. So while we've got this whole wheat bread recipe nailed down, I'm working on my sourdough, and I'm hoping, I've got sourdough started that's been going a couple weeks, and I'm hoping to perfect that technique and be able to share that with you soon. So let's go ahead and take the bread out of the bread maker and then see the loaf that we're about to make. So once the bread comes out of the machine, we're going to go ahead and put it in on a cooling rack. But notice this bread and how big it is. So I grabbed a standard loaf of the bread my family used to eat a lot of. And if you look, it's the same length. And so I want to kind of give you guys an idea of the size of the loaf that we're going to make. It's about the same width. So I'll show you that. And as far as height, I did pull one piece out and wanted to share the height shot with you. So in my bread maker, it's a Breville bread maker. You can get them online. You'll see that there's a little bit of an arch that my bread loaf doesn't have. This actually makes sandwich making so much easier. So you don't really have to line up the pieces perfectly. There's a few less bites of bread. The other nice thing about making your own bread is that you can cut it to any thickness that you desire. So our family usually goes through one bread loaf a week, and oftentimes we make more to give away to others. So I'm going to go ahead and slice the bread. For purposes of today, I did pre-make this morning. It is cooled down. After you make bread in a bread machine, you need to wait about 20 to 30 minutes to slice your bread. I have just a regular Hamilton Beach electric knife that we're going to go ahead and use. I think we have one question. So I have someone named Susan helping me with questions. She's raising her hand. What's the question, Susan?
We'd like to know what the specific name of the machine is.
It's a Breville. It's spelled Breville. And it's so easy to use that I never read the manual. And so I know I should, and maybe I will later. But this recipe has worked since day one. I get very consistent loaves out of it. And so I really enjoy the Breville. But there are lots of really great bread machines out there. Amazon has a huge selection. Feel free to look at all of those and read the reviews. The reviews are so important. I'm going to go ahead and slice the bread so you can see what the crumb looks like. Also, this bread machine allows me to cook a light, a medium, and a dark crust on the bread. The very first loaf of bread I made was reviewed by my 5-year-old, and she didn't like the medium crust. And so ever since then, you're looking at a light crust bake. So it's not that dark. You can make it much darker. It really turns out to be personal preference. I'm going to go ahead and slice this bread, and you're going to see what it looks like on the inside. So I'm going to show you can thin slice it. There you go. There's your thin slice loaf. it's full of moisture. The oil in the bread will help with the moisture, and it's really spongy. So that makes it nice. This bread will go in a toaster. Most commonly what I do is it's so good with just melted butter. After I'm done making dinner and we want to have bread, I just butter the bread and I put it in a warm oven for a few minutes while I serve everybody's plates. And then we're ready to go eat our bread with melted butter. It's really super simple. And we're going to keep things really super simple today. We live a very, very busy lifestyle. We're constantly on the go. COVID has slowed us down a little bit, but when I incorporate recipes into my kitchen, I like to keep it really simple. I want ingredients that I already have in my cupboard. If I have to go to the store for ingredients, I'm out. I'm not making that recipe. So today, all we're going to need is some oil, water, flour, sugar, salt, and yeast. And so we'll talk through some of those things as we go. And we're actually going to build a loaf, and I'm going to teach you all of that with my girls. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to have my girls come on camera, and I'm going to get them comfortable with you. If you want to ask them questions, please just chat to us, and we will try to ask them their real thoughts. Go ahead and come over, girls. Come on, come on. This is Fallon. I'm going to have you stand on this other side. She has been with me before on some of these lives, which has been so fun. She is 10 years old, almost 11. And this is Farah. Here's a fun note about Farah. Farah's a pretty fun girl. Both girls are. But Farah loves to be called Chips. And so if you hear me call her Chips, it's her nickname. And can you look at the camera? There you go. And so sometimes she doesn't actually respond to her real name because so many people have adapted to calling her nickname, huh? Okay, how old are you?
5.
5. And what's your teacher's name?
Miss Wilson.
And Fallon, how old are you? I guess we told them.
10.
Yep.
I'm in 5th grade.
5th grade. Okay. And let's see, Farah, what's your favorite subject at school? Can you look at the camera and tell them?
Art.
Art. And is it painting or drawing or cutting things and using the glue sticks or what?
I like to paint.
You like to paint. Uh-huh. And Fallon, what's your favorite subject?
Art and drama.
And Fallon's actually an amazing sketcher. So she'll bring things to me, and I do not know where that skill came from. It didn't come from me. But she can sketch so well, and she can draw so well. And so she makes some pretty amazing art. I'm pretty proud of her. Fallon, what is your favorite is art and drama.
Mm-hmm.
What's your teacher's name for art and drama? Is it the same teacher?
Yeah. No, it's Miss McClure.
Miss McClure.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you like about Miss McClure?
She's really nice and funny.
Yep. And Chips, can you tell me something real quick? Do you like living on a farm?
Yes.
And why do you like living on a farm?
Because there's so many animals.
We have so many animals. In fact, one just snuck into the kitchen. So, see, Jerry. We have Tom and Jerry, the indoor cats, and Jerry is walking around the kitchen right now. So if you see him in the background, sorry about that. Fallon, what do you like living on a farm, or would you rather live in town?
I like living on a farm.
Okay, look up the camera when you talk. And why do you like living on the farm?
Because the animals.
The animals. Can you tell us about your animals?
We have 6 cats, 2 indoor and 4 outdoor. The 4 outdoor are kittens, and the 2 indoor are big cats.
Big cats. And are your 4 outdoor kittens spoiled or
yes,
not?
Spoiled rotten.
And how are they spoiled rotten?
Well, they have this big, huge house and heating pads, and they get food every night and lots of pets.
That's how we get them in at night. Outdoor kitties in the country sometimes like to crawl into warm cars to stay warm at night. So we provide a heating pad and a warm house for them, and that way we wake up to our cats every morning alive and well, right?
Yep.
What other animals do we have on the farm?
We have 4 cows and 2 dogs.
Uh-huh. And what are the cows' names?
Daryl, his other brother Daryl, and Daryl.
Yep, we've got the 4 Daryls. Chips, what do you want people to know about you? Do you want to tell them, here, can you sit up straight real quick? What do you think about Mom's bread?
I like it.
And how many pieces would you like to eat a day if you could have as many as you wanted?
6.
6 pieces. And would you put them in a toaster or would you put jelly on them?
I would put jelly on them.
Jelly on them. We have a question. So Susan, go ahead and give us the question.
Do you have any advice on how to sift the flour?
Yes, I do. I'm not going to sift the flour today. I'm going to actually bake with just our whole grain flour, which is different than regular store-bought flour. And we're going to talk about that. Our whole grain flour, we'll show you a close-up here in just a minute, but it's got more bran in it and it's got all of the good things of the wheat kernel. So as we use a stone ground mill to mill the flour for you, and we take our current crop. And so I think it's important if we want to show, I want to show you guys a little video that we shot of harvest this year. And this is actually harvesting the wheat that we're using today. So from this field comes the wheat kernels out of the plants, and then we mill it into flour. And you can buy from us 2 different ways. You can buy the kernels whole yourself and mill them yourself, or you can buy the flour and use the flour to bake. Whole wheat flour with nothing removed and nothing added takes more water than store-bought flours. If you've ever wondered why some of your recipes aren't working, you need to start adjusting your water. Initially, the recipe we're going to use today said to use 1.5 cups of water. It actually, to get my loaf the way it is today, I used 2 full cups of water, and I built into that. So I started with the recommended, and I thought, this didn't rise the way I wanted it to, and I started adding more and more water, knowing the bran and the whole grain flour needs more water. So, hey, would you guys like to make bread now?
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else you want everybody to know? How about one item you want for Christmas? Do you know what you want for Christmas? What is it? Look up the camera and tell them.
I want for Christmas,
You want bread? You want bread for Christmas?
No!
What do you want for Christmas, sis?
Comic books.
Comic books. Do you have any comic in mind?
Babysitter's Club.
Babysitter's Club comic books. So we'll be looking for those soon. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and Chips, do you want to put the water in? And then if you're done joining us for today, you can run off and play in the other room. Just don't be too loud and crazy. Is that okay? Okay, so I'm going to lift her up. Come here. No, look at me. Look at me. It's not looking at me. Okay, we're going to flip over to our bread camera. I'm going to go ahead and have you put this water. This is 2 cups of water. And I'm going to have you hold it over. Very good. Now, can you pour it right in the middle there? Good job. Don't spill over the side. There you go. Great job. Put the less drops in there. We want to be exact with our bread measurements. So you never want to put in more or less. It's not like cooking. This has been a challenge for me. I am a cook, and I rarely work from recipes and normally make good food. And so baking is completely a challenge for me. And that's why I choose to keep it simple and try to make it easy so that I actually can incorporate it into my routine every day. Okay, we have a question.
Is this recipe the same if you grind the hard white wheat berries into flour instead of the pre-ground flour?
Yes, exactly the same. So the question was, just in case you couldn't hear, if you grind the wheat berries into flour versus buying the flour, is it the same? The answer is yes. Another cool fact about the wheat berries is that you'll get a 1-to-1 cup ratio. So if you grind 1 cup of wheat berries, you're going to get 1 cup of flour. For the recipe today, we're going to use 4 cups of flour. So let's go ahead and go back to our bread cam, and I'm going to have Fallon. I pre-measured a lot of the ingredients for today so that it would make it easy to work with the girls. And so here I have 2 tablespoons of oil. And it's really, really important that when you make your bread, I have some crumbs down in there I'm seeing now, that you layer your ingredients. This is the biggest thing that I've found that's improved my bread loaves. And so we're going to talk a little bit more specifically as we go, but we're going to actually layer them inside the bread pan. Go ahead and put in the oil right down in the middle.
Okay.
How many times have we done bread together?
Like, I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good kitchen helper. So from there, we're going to take the 4 cups of flour and we're going to divide it into 2. And so we're going to put in 2 cups of bread flour. I'm going to show you how I measure it. I have a trick. If you're buying our flour, we sell them in resealable, heat-sealed bags. And so I'm going to open it up, and there is a trick. Here's something also super important. Don't pack your flour. So I'm never, ever going to take my 1 cup of flour, dig it in there, push all the flour down, and then put it into my pan. I'm going to do it really simple. I'm going to scoop so it's light and fluffy. Whole grain flours do not need to be packed. You want the air out, and that's it. Don't pack it down. Your bread will not turn out. We have one more question. Then I'm going to show you how I scoop the flour to not make a mess.
Is there something like gluten that needs to be added to substitute for bread flour?
No, not with Palouse brand flours. So we don't substitute anything because we leave the gluten in. And so when you're milling a kernel, the gluten will already be in the kernel. And when we mill it, we don't remove anything from the flour. We just run it through our stone mill, and then we ship it. So there's no reason to do anything. There was the question about sifting earlier. If you want to sift, by all means, I don't want to stop you from sifting. They make great sifting tools that'll pull the bran. Let's show the bran real quick. I'm going to hold this over the bread cam. Can you see the bran in the flour? Do you see? So the bread is the kind of the darker brown versus the flour. I do not sift to make my bread loaves, but some people do. I want all the healthiness that comes with the entire kernel. So I'm going to go ahead and flip back and show you how I measure out 2 cups of flour. So first of all, I'm going to just lightly put the flour in. I'm not packing anything. You won't see me tamp it down. And I'm going to overfill my 1 cup. And we're going to do this twice. And then I'm going to go ahead and in the bag, to not make a mess, just scrape the top. I might have made a little mess, but it's a lot smaller of a mess than it could have been. Do you want to put this in the middle of the bread pan?
Sure.
Okay. And then
Okay.
right down the middle. And this is in the middle on purpose. So everything we do is with purpose today. Now I'm going to go ahead and scoop out 1 more cup of flour. Let's see. I'm going to overfill it, and then I'm going to shave the top off again. So there we go, to save as much flour as possible. Go ahead and put that in. And then the next step is really important. We're going to go ahead and make a crater for the salt and sugar. You never ever want your salt to touch your yeast. And so by making a crater, a place for that salt and sugar to go, we make a little home that then we can add to and make sure that the yeast doesn't touch those two. Salt kills yeast, so you'll never get a rise in bread if you're mixing your salt and your yeast together. Okay, so this is for salt and sugar. So go ahead, this is the salt. Okay. Can you put it right down in that crater? Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
So you put a crater right there? Mm-hmm. There we go. And then go ahead and grab the sugar. So that was 2 tablespoons of sugar, and it's 1 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Go ahead. So here goes the...
Just in the middle again?
Yep. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Yeast does feed off of sugar, so don't leave sugar out of your recipe. It's really important that you keep it in. I'm going to go ahead and scoop 2 more cups of flour. So my mom and I were talking about bread making the other day, and she was reminding me because our family's been farming for many, many generations. And my great-grandmother, whose name was Bertha, which I think is an amazing name, and not commonly used, and it makes me smile. Grandma Bertha had a kitchen where she had her drawers built with tubs so that she could put her sugar in a tub, her flour in a tub, and it made cleaning, or measuring really easy because she would just open the drawer. There'd be like a 5-gallon ice cream bucket set in the cupboard or in the drawer, and she would scrape it right there. So she was never wasting anything. I'm going to go ahead and finish up these two, Fallon, and then we'll let you do the yeast, okay? So this is our final cup of flour, and again, the bran is beautiful. No need to sift it out if you don't want to, but keep in mind when you're making recipes and they don't turn out exactly the way they look on the internet, with whole flours, you need to use some extra water. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place that final cup of flour in the bread machine, and then I'm going to make a crater in the middle. Again, that's just a nice home for the yeast to go into so that it's not touching the salt right away. The paddle in the bottom of the machine will mix it at the appropriate time. Let's talk about yeast. So I've got a couple different types of yeast. It doesn't matter if it's a bread machine yeast or an active dry yeast. This recipe is really flexible for both. You can do anything you want. Any dry yeast that's not expired will still work. They even make a packet of sourdough yeast where you don't have to have a sourdough starter, and it's pre-measured. You just open the packet, and where I'm going to put the yeast today, you would put the sourdough yeast, and it'll flavor the whole wheat bread with the sourdough as well. It's a more mild flavor. For the stronger flavor, again, I'm still working on that, finding the simplest way to make sourdough that my family loves. I have the flavor down. Now I'm working on the rise in my bread. So that's what's holding me back from sharing that today. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Do you want to go ahead and measure 2 of those out? And I want you to put it in the crater.
So
Make sure it's flat. Here. Yeah. Let's turn it sideways, actually. So hold this hand like this. Now go in there and get it. Make sure it's, there you go, nice and flat. Okay, perfect. Now go ahead and put it right in the crater. Good job. Really
another
good.
one?
There you go. And then we're going to do 1/4 as well. So here's your 1/4 teaspoon. So far we've put in 2 tablespoons of oil, 2 cups of warm water, not hot, 4 cups of flour, 1 3/4 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. So I actually think I can turn this bread machine on and not have to close the lid. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is set my machine now. And again, this machine is so easy to use that I didn't even read the manual. So I'm going to set it on a basic setting on light crust. Let's see. Oh, basic setting, light crust. This is a 2-pound loaf. So I'm going to set it for a 2-pound loaf. And then I'm going to go ahead and press start. But I did something wrong because it's not showing the right time. It takes 3 hours and 1 minute. There's a question, so I'm going to take a question before I move forward.
This is from Emily in Queen Creek, Arizona.
Hi, Emily. Thanks for joining.
And she is asking, do you have to have a bread machine or can you cook this in the oven?
That's a good question. You can cook it in the oven. I feel really inadequate in my kneading techniques, and my loaves have not turned out consistent. And so for that reason, I use my bread machine, and it's so easy. So last night I put all the ingredients in. I put them in at 9 o'clock, and I wanted fresh bread this morning at 9 o'clock. And there's a delay start on the machine, and so I just set it for 12 hours. Or you set it for when you want the bread to be ready, when you want your hot bread. And so the machine did a delay start, and it cooked on in the middle of the night, started kneading that flour and water and all the good stuff in there, and then we had fresh bread this morning. So yes, it can be done in the oven. We can post the directions to do it in the oven. I, today, am just working with the bread machine, and that's how my family gets by. Again, we're super busy. My kids are going to school right now, so we have a very active lifestyle and don't get home till late at night sometimes, and so this is a really easy way, like foolproof, I don't have to think about it, for the bread to be ready by the time we're ready to eat it. Okay. So I went ahead and set it on the basic setting, and it's on a light crust, a 2-pound loaf, which is super important. And again, with this machine, it takes 3 hours and 1 minute. Each machine is going to be a little bit different. And so in looking at your machines, just use the basic settings. It's so easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit start, and you'll actually see it start the kneading process. It's a quiet machine, it's not loud, it's really, really nice. It doesn't shake, and when the bread comes out, it's gonna be absolutely perfect. Look at it mixing the water and the flour. Also, what's fun about this machine is as it's cooking, there's a light, and you can push the light and see your bread. And I'm always checking the bread because I always want to know how it is. And when it starts to smell, you know you're almost there. So this machine gives free smells, just like our friends at Sandwich Shop in town give free smells with their fresh bread. And so it does smell up my entire kitchen with bread smells, which I love. So, okay. If there's any other questions, we're almost done because now, 3 hours later, we're going to have bread and I'm not going to sit here and talk for 3 hours. So if you have any final questions, please let us know. Do you want to know anything?
Like about the bread?
About anything, yep. I wonder how many people out there are currently making bread.
Yeah.
So just give us like a thumbs up if you're making bread. Do you want to take a bite?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and break into this piece. Just going to rip it apart. For the half sandwiches, I make my 5-year-old. You can rip the bread. It's really moist. Ready? Go ahead. 1, 2, 3, bite. No butter, and it's still really good, right?
Yeah. It kind of tastes like there's already butter in there.
We did this with no butter. I know. It's good. Really good. So now I have to get this swallowed. Go ahead and show the bread can real quick, this bread machine, and let's see how it's doing in its kneading process. It will, as it goes through the process, the dry parts on the edges around the corners, this machine will work that into the flour. And so as the process goes, this will mold into a ball that then rests, and it heats up and it grows that bread, puts the rise in it, and then the baking starts. There's another question.
Can you make rolls from this recipe?
Oh my gosh, I haven't tried yet. I don't know why not. You would stop. So the machines have a setting that allows you to just do the knead, and then you can take out the dough and work with it. So I don't have the baking instructions for the rolls, but we can figure that out, and I am planning on doing some of that for next week for Thanksgiving. There's another question.
Have you ever subbed butter with olive oil?
No, but you can. I've seen it in other recipes. I think it's really important to find your favorite recipe. Some call for milk. In fact, the one on the back of the bag calls for milk. Here's a little too much info. I'm lactose intolerant. So I try not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I try not to use a lot of milk in my food because it makes me feel better. And my family is grateful for that too. Very. So I don't use a lot of milk, but some people do use milk. They use butter. Butter would be amazing. I haven't tried it with this recipe because it's so easy. I am also kind of frugal. So I compete with myself a lot. It'll be like, how many days until I have to go to the grocery store or until I have to have we've started having groceries delivered. So I try not to go to the grocery store. Our beef is our own beef, so we eat our own meats. It teaches the kids how to care for animals. It teaches them a lot of responsibility. Let's see, we do buy chicken.
Yes.
And the bread machine's really going fast now. It's starting to form the ball.
I want to see.
Yep. Look at it. Isn't that cool? I can't knead like that. I'm not that good. Kneading to me is intimidating. So I realize that this isn't, an oven baked bread loaf, but I need it again to be super easy for our type of lifestyle. We're constantly busy. So I'm not sure where I was, but we do like the kids to work on the farm. We talk about the wheat. We go out in the wheat. We look at it. We check it. My husband's constantly checking the wheat, the roots of the wheat. Does the wheat need to be fertilized? Does it not? More nitrogen? Are we good? Wheat is something that we use. We use legumes as a rotation crop. So our foods are also garbanzo beans, split peas, and lentils. And the crop prior to the wheat was garbanzo beans. I think there's one question that we get asked most, and that is, do you spray Roundup on your wheat to dry it down? So I want to be real clear, there's no need to desiccate our wheat. The sun, the way that our weather patterns work here on the Palouse, the sun dries the wheat naturally, and so we don't have to do any of that. If you want, we would love to have you follow us. We've started featuring customers every week. If you're making this recipe, you have to tag us. Follow us on Instagram at Palouse_brand. Can you show the bread machine and how it's working? It's just so happy. the flour and water. Oh, our flour, this is a side note completely. Our flour, if you are doing a sourdough starter, they love to feed on our flour. So if you do have to feed your sourdough, do that. Another fun thing is that we do offer different wheat kernels. So the hard red winter, the hard red spring, the soft white wheat. And those wheats are interchangeable in this recipe. So if you're looking to change up the flavors in your bread, you need 4 cups of flour, but you could do 2 hard red, 2 hard white. If it's too strong of a flavor for your family, you can mix. Those are interchangeable flours that you can use while you start baking at home. Okay, just gonna check and see if we have any more questions. We're gonna put on the bread cam, and then I really look forward to seeing what you guys make. And I look forward to doing this again. Again, you're gonna find the most simple beginner recipe with me. I'm not perfect yet. I mean, I am in every other way, but not bread making, right?
Yeah.
Make us an Insta video, please. We love, love, love. There's some really, really cool Instagram videos on Instagram. Check out some of what our customers has made. We're gonna put it on the screen for you right now. You can see the beautiful, they're like experts, not like me. They're like experts. Please go follow us on Instagram, tag us. We love to know how you're using our flour. We appreciate you as customers. Working for you is really important to us. Your feedback is really important to us. We love getting emails, and our customer service team, a lot of times not everything goes perfect and you can kind of feel bad about a situation, but when we get the customer love through our emails, we love sharing those with our team, and it gives our people purpose every day. So we really appreciate you and your family, and we hope to do more of this with you again soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. We will see you soon. Thanks.